Hello and welcome to the MCQ lecture series. In today's class, I'll be dealing with multiple choice questions with respect to microeconomics, which is the economics special paper for SYBA as well as MA Part 1. So in the previous class, I've dealt with some of the multiple choice questions from chapter 1 and 2. In segue of the same, in this class as well, I'm going to look into some of the important MCQs with respect to chapter 2, which is talking about marginal utility analysis and ordinal utility analysis, or cardinal and ordinal utility analysis. In the previous lectures, we have covered questions with respect to cardinal or marginal utility analysis. In this class, I'll be talking in greater details some of the important MCQs with respect to ordinal utility analysis. So let us look at it. The first question is, the technique of indifference curve analysis was first put forth by whom? Was first put forth by A. J.R. Hicks, or by R.G.D. Allen, or by Edgeworth, or none of the above. So for the first time, the technique of indifference curve analysis was put forth by Edgeworth. So therefore, this is the correct answer. Option C is the correct answer. Edgeworth was the first person who put forward the analysis in terms of indifference curve. I hope this question is pretty much clear. Let us now move to the next question. Dash put forward the ordinal utility analysis approach. Dash put forward the ordinal utility analysis approach in their work, A Reconsideration of Theory of Value. So whether it was A. Allen and Hicks, B. Keynes and Smith, C. Dries and Sain, or none of the above. So here it is J.R. Hicks and R.G.D. Allen who collectively put forward the approach towards ordinal utility analysis, and therefore option A, Allen and Hicks, is the correct answer, and the work which they cited is this one, A Reconsideration of the Theory of Value. So therefore Allen and Hicks, that is J.R. Hicks as well as R.G.D. Allen, were the first ones to use this or give this approach of ordinal utility analysis. The idea of indifference curve analysis was put forward by Edgeworth, but the approach to utility analysis or using ordinal method was given by Allen and Hicks. I hope these two questions are pretty much clear. Let us now move to the next question, which is in a sense talking about the assumptions of ordinal utility analysis. Now let us look at what are the assumptions here. The first option which is available to us is ranking goods in terms of preferences. Second is transitivity. Third is more the better, and last is all of the above. So here I hope you can recollect that in the cardinal utility analysis or the marginal utility analysis, we were numbering utilities. We were using cardinal numbers. In this case, what I am doing is I am using something called as ranks. Okay, so I am ranking my preferences. So what I am doing is I am ranking first rank, second rank, third rank. This is how I am ranking my preferences. Now these preferences can be bundle of two goods, and the satisfaction which they are going to derive more or less is going to be different with respect to the ranks. I hope the first point is pretty much clear. The second is with respect to transitivity. Now transitivity means if at all there are three bundles A, B and C, a consumer prefers A over B and B over C. This directly means that a consumer is always going to prefer A over C. This is what transitivity means. Transitivity means if there are three bundles A, B and C, if a consumer prefers bundle A over bundle B and bundle B over bundle C, then he's indirectly going to prefer bundle A over bundle C. So I hope this principle of transitivity is pretty much clear. The third is more the better. Obviously, the more the units of commodity in a bundle, the better for the consumer, and therefore more the better, and all of the above. Now all these three things, I spent a minute on explaining these three because they are important, and these are the assumptions of something called as ordinal utility analysis. Along with this, there's something called as, I'll just write one more point here, diminishing marginal rate of substitution. Diminishing marginal rate of substitution. I'll take into account this point of what do you understand by marginal rate of substitution in the upcoming MCQs, but this is also an assumption that diminishing marginal rate of substitution exists when you look at ordinal utility analysis, and therefore all of the above is the correct answer to this particular question. Very important question. I hope it is pretty much clear. Let us now move to the next question. Dash shows all the various combinations of two goods that gives equal amount of satisfaction to the consumer. What shows all the various possible combinations of two goods which yield or which gives same amount of satisfaction or equal amount of satisfaction to a consumer, whether you call such a thing to be supply curve, or you call it to be a demand curve, or you call it to be an indifference curve, or none of the above. So here the correct answer is indifference curve, shows all the various combinations of two goods that gives an equal amount of satisfaction to the consumer, and therefore option C is the correct answer here. Let us imagine an indifference curve here. Let us say that good X is represented on X axis, good Y is represented on Y axis, and this is the indifference curve. Now I am saying that indifference curve shows all the various combinations of two goods that gives an equal amount of satisfaction to the consumer. Now let us assume that this is combination 1, this is combination 2, this is combination 3. Here this is first combination, this is second combination, this is third combination. So it is x1, x2, x3, y1, y2, y3. So the first combination A is using OX1 units of good X and OY3 units of good Y. The second is increasing X but diminishing Y. So it is OX2 units of X but only OY2 units of good Y. In this sense, all these three combinations are going to give, irrespective of the combination of the goods which I am getting with these bundles, the amount of satisfaction which the consumer is going to get on this entire indifference curve, irrespective of the combination, is going to be equal. The satisfaction is going to be equal. So irrespective of these three, that is why the consumer is indifferent among choosing A, B or C. Yeah, so that is why indifference curve, all these three combinations or any other combination on this entire indifference curve is going to give that particular consumer equal amount of satisfaction. So I hope this question is pretty much clear with respect to this example. Let us now move to the next question, which is in a sense talking about dash is a graph showing a whole set of indifference curve. Dash is a graph which is showing whole set of indifference curve. What do you call that? Indifference map, supply maps, demand maps, or none of the above. So here the obvious answer is indifference map. This means that here I took only one indifference curve. When I take plethora of indifference curve, that collection of all these indifference curve is called as an indifference map, or option A is the correct answer. That means indifference map is a graph showing whole set of indifference curve, This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, many indifference curves. So therefore option A, indifference map, is a graph showing a whole set of indifference curve. So I hope this question is pretty much clear. Let us now move to the next question, which is talking about characteristics, very important concept, characteristics of indifference curve. So the first character is can't intersect each other. That means two indifference curves cannot intersect each other. That is first. Second is they are negatively sloped. Third is higher the indifference curve, higher the level of satisfaction. And last is all of the above. So here all these three things, that is can't intersect each other, that means two indifference curves cannot intersect. This is IC1 and this is IC2. This is not possible. Good Y and good X. This is not possible. Okay. So this is one characteristic. Two indifference curves cannot intersect each other. Second is negatively sloped. We have seen that it is a negatively sloped curve. So this is also true. Third is higher the indifference curve, higher the level of satisfaction. That means indifference curve 1, IC2, IC3, IC4, IC5. These are all indifference curves. IC5 has the highest level of satisfaction in these 5. So as you move away, IC6 comes. So IC6 has higher satisfaction as compared to IC5. So therefore higher the indifference curve, higher is the level of satisfaction, and therefore that point is also true with respect to the characteristics of indifference curve. So I hope these 3 points are pretty much clear, and therefore option D, all of the above, is the correct answer to this particular question. Let us now move to the next question, which is a definition sort of a question, or a law sort of a question. Dash is defined as the rate at which a consumer is willing to give up good X for unit more of good Y, such that he or she remains on the same indifference curve, or the satisfaction remains the same. So what do you call this? Whether you call it diminishing marginal utility, whether you call it marginal rate of substitution, law of demand, or none of the above. Please read it carefully. I am willing to give up 1 unit, or the rate at which I am willing to give up 1 unit of good Y for one or more than 1 units of good y, for unit more 1 unit of good x for unit more of good y. That means I am going to give up good x for 1 unit more of good y. And what do you call that rate at which this thing is happening? It is called as marginal rate of substitution. That means the rate at which a consumer is willing to give up good x for unit more of good y. I hope this is pretty much clear. Underlying assumption is that given that his level of satisfaction remains the same, so marginal rate of substitution is the rate at which a consumer is willing to give up good x for unit more of good y, such that his level of satisfaction remains the same or remains equal. I hope this question is pretty much clear. Let us look at what does marginal rate of substitution between x and y particularly means. So MRS xy is equal to dash, or what is the slope of indifference curve? Marginal rate of substitution is also called as the slope of indifference curve. So let us look at the possible options. The first is marginal utility of x divided by marginal utility of y. MRS xy means that. Then it is price of x divided by price of y. Third is marginal utility of x divided by price of x, and last is marginal utility of y divided by price of y. So usually MRS xy is the marginal utility of x divided by marginal utility of y. Therefore option this is correct, and this is true. That means it's either or. Slope of indifference curve is given by marginal utility of x divided by marginal utility by or MRS xy. So therefore this is the correct option, option A, marginal utility of x to marginal utility of y, when there are two goods x and y into consideration. I hope this question is pretty much clear. Let us now move to the next question, a specific question, the indifference curves for perfect substitutes. Now here specifically I am asking indifference curves for perfect substitutes. In general, indifference curves are negatively sloped, okay, but there are exceptions to indifference curves as well. What is the shape in terms of perfect substitutes? Perfect substitutes, for example, tea and coffee. Yeah, so perfect substitutes, in that case, whether A, they are straight lines or parallel lines, B, they are L-shaped, C, it's a straight line parallel to y-axis, or none of the above. So here these are all indifference curve, IC1, IC2, IC3. Here also IC1, IC2, IC3. Good x is on x-axis, good y is on y-axis. You can see them. So here whenever it is perfect substitutes, it is always this shape. That means parallel lines. Yeah, parallel lines. So this is the correct answer. Indifference curve for perfect substitutes are like this, This means that the rate at which a consumer is willing to give up good x for unit more of good y remains the same. The shape of indifference curve is like this because MRSXY remains constant in case of perfect substitutes. So there might be a question saying that what is the value of marginal rate of substitution between good x and y in case of perfect substitute? So it remains constant, and the curve looks like this. The indifference curve is like this. So I hope this question is pretty much clear. Let us now move to the last question in this segment, which is again indifference curve for perfect substitutes. Here I am looking at perfect complements. Yeah, perfect complements, car and petrol sort of an example. So here again on x-axis I am looking at good x, on y-axis I am looking at good y. So here again indifference curves. Here L-shaped indifference curve, then again curve parallel to y-axis, and none of the above. So here we know now this is talking about perfect substitutes. The answer to perfect complements, or the indifference curve for perfect complements, look like this. It is always L-shaped. So this is IC1, this is IC2, this is IC3. So this is the correct answer. Option B is the correct answer to this question. The shape of indifference curve for perfect complements is always L-shaped. For perfect substitutes it is parallel lines, this sort of parallel lines. I hope all these questions are pretty much clear. In the next series or in the next lecture, I'll continue with some of the important questions with respect to chapter 2, and then we shall move to chapter 3, which is talking about demand analysis, law of demand, determinants of demand, and elasticities of demand. So please stay tuned for more. Thank you.